Hello, lovelies. Can you hear me?
Hello. I can hear you.
Oh, good. Because now everything sounds different than it did before. I wasn't quite sure. Hi there. Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soul Wanderings. I'm AJ,
I am Natalie.
and we hang out with you guys on Wednesday nights talking about topics related to the human experience, the spiritual experience, life experiences, all the good stuff. We pick a new topic every single week and we just fill into it and share what we're thinking and feeling with you. And also, we get really great interaction with our listeners in the chat room. So, you'll want to be hanging out with us on YouTube or Facebook when we are live. And if you're catching a show after we are live, you can always comment. If you guys want to know more about myself or Natalie, you can visit soulwanderings.com. And if you have a show topic request, make sure you email us at connect@soulwanderings.com. And during the day, Natalie hangs out over there. I hang out over here in this beautiful healing center that we have called Vibes, Mind, Body, Spirit. You can learn more about that at vibesnow.com, VIBEZ. So magical, this space is. Yeah, you agree.
Yes, and there's amazing sunsets.
Amazing sunsets. And it's that time of year we get to see them earlier.
It's definitely true. Wow, I can't believe it. Once we pass that the equinox, then it just feels like it's this slide into gets
Yeah, I
dark
mean,
earlier and earlier.
I'm so excited. I love the chill in the air. My favorite time of year. It's so good.
Mine too.
That is right. Hi, Wanders. Welcome. Thanks for coming to hang out. So, tonight we are going to be talking about divine intervention. Your smile.
Divine.
Fine. I don't know if I ever believed in divine intervention until my massive divine intervention of an NDE. That was it for me. And then I could go back in life and replay all of the times that something took place.
Hmm.
Not to talk about me. We can share some experiences later. So divine intervention. What do you feel on the topic that we're going to be discussing this evening?
So I felt similar along the lines, just processing it intellectually as to what you were just saying. That a lot of times people cannot have the awareness. I think even in my own life, I didn't have awareness
Mm-hmm.
about it, like the ability to notice. And when I say awareness about divine intervention, it's like the ability or the willingness to notice that something bigger than me is at play in my life, either trying to help me, like get my attention, like snap, snap, come on, fun,
Mm-hmm.
or the little helping hand that moves, or a whole spectrum in between that. So with divine intervention, I feel like there is tuning your awareness to be able to see it. Because I know when I was much younger, I was hard of hearing when the divine was talking to
Mm-hmm.
me. I went through a whole process of learning and even vocalizing my life is talking to me out loud. I had someone say, look around sort of at my life and it's like, wow, you don't listen well, do you? Like sit to read the signs. So that's kind of a beginning place to talk about with divine intervention. As well as saying divine intervention, I see a lot in ways with people seeing their loved ones talk to them or guardian angels or your heavenly squad helping you out
Mhm.
life and getting your attention, or just plain being saved from something. Like there's different stories about people being said, stop, before they have a big accident or
Mhm.
to avoid something catastrophic in their life. Just
Right.
that inner knowing. All the ways that there is a interaction between the universe, the divine, God, whatever framework, language you want to use around that, and you
Yeah.
running around in your body.
We have a tendency to do that. Lots of running around
Yes.
and not paying attention, right? And so
Yeah.
that was the thing, is not having an awareness that so many experiences in my life were actually what you could consider a divine intervention in so many ways. But, also, I didn't have the framework when I was younger. I didn't have an understanding of what I do now, or even what I did, 10 years ago. And so it's just evolved over time. And I've had um my own journey with believing that there's something bigger than us or outside of us, or that we are part of something bigger in my life. And it hasn't been until the last several years that I've really leaned into that as being my truth, even after having my experience. Because, things happen and we're like, oh, yeah, that was a coincidence, or that was synchronistic in some way. But we never give, credit where credit is possibly due. And we just mark it off as, yep, that happened. And so, like, the last few years where I've had a lot of time through my healing journey to really reflect on my experiences, and, like, you know, you reflect back and feel on all the what ifs, and how did I make it through, and this would have been different, or, like, just deep
Hmm.
reflection. And there are so many people who make comments to me about my experiences, and wonder um how I can be so not charged with emotion regarding these experiences, or revolving around the experiences. And I don't look at any of those experiences as heavy anymore. Like, there's just one day I was like, I'm not carrying this with me, and I'm going to look at it with different eyes. And a lot of those experiences, I know now in hindsight, happened for me, even though that they were so challenging, and some of them were so traumatizing. And also, I made it through, and there have been more times than not where I've, like, questioned, how did I make it through by myself? Now coming to an understanding that I never was alone.
Hmm.
And so it's just been really neat to have this awareness that everything that happened to me was for me, and that I never walked through it alone. There was always some kind of force by my side, or moving the pieces and parts around to navigate the experience for me when I was not able to do so, or I didn't have the awareness to do so. And I love this topic because it gets dismissed in so many ways. I'm
Hmm.
proof of that. I dismissed it. And even there are times that it's just so beyond my comprehension as a human being to wrap my mind around. I love that I can still choose my free will and lean into the possibilities that it possibly could have been a divine intervention, and your body knows. And so when you just even play around with the idea that it possibly could be, and it feels so good to know that truth, it really is quite something.
The body, um, So let's talk about like the positive sides. I'm reading the comments so my brain doesn't process.
Oh, yeah, I shouldn't post comments when you're talking. Could you
Well, if
stop
it's a long
talking?
one, they steer us gently or as firmly as is necessary. Our comfort is not high on their priority list. That's actually a good talking point, um, because so often this. So I'll say it, frame it a little bit different. I remember the time that I realized once I leveled up because I feel like I've leveled up and leveled up and leveled up throughout my life, and just worked and overcome various things and then leveled up. And I remember this one time it felt like it was a big level up, and I actually realized I just became a better tool for the universe,
Mm,
where I was actually more online and tuned in a particular way that I would be more helpful for what the universe needed me to do or
mhm.
wanted me to do or was there for me to do. Um, and it was this profound awareness that said, oh, well, oh, good job, Natalie. Now you can work for the universe more effectively for what they want to do. And then listening to, I'll get the memo or the download or go to the HR department and get my instructions that'll come from the higher realm.
Yes, the HR department.
Yep. So, and a lot of times it isn't for our comfort, or we lose our comfort zone, so we will shift to where we need to go,
Mhm,
and then with the learning the human design, we will get less resistance by actually living out what we're here to do, our destiny, the framework that we're meant to do, live within our form, which actually allows us to get the life that we were born to be living. So many people aren't even living in their own life. They're not living in the life that they were born to live out,
mhm.
fulfilling the promise of their the framework that has all to do with numerology and human design and those aspects. If you live within the framework of what you were born to do and hear and overcome, then you have less resistance and life just flows easier. And sometimes the divine has got to intervene to get you going in the right direction, which is kind of what your experience was, wasn't
Yeah, more times than one in big significant ways. I didn't know how to listen when I was younger, and I just don't mean, like, listen when people were, like, talking to me
it?
or telling me what to do, but, that inner still small voice within you, your intuition.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't understand, like, what was coming through me was actually my guidance, and so I dismissed it on so many levels until, I mean, literally so many times was so uncomfortable, and even to the point of me transitioning and having the opportunity to come back. Now, if that's not a wake-up call, I don't know what would be. It was for me, you know, I look at my son as divine intervention. First and foremost, I always have looked at him as a blessing in disguise, and not that that kinda has a negative connotation, but it really is such a beautiful thing when I was blessed with my son because the trajectory of my life was not looking so good. I had lived a life full of trauma, and I was making some really horrible choices with my life and my lifestyle that, I mean, I was just on a path of destruction, and when I found out that I was pregnant, it was actually quite a miracle because I had a very traumatic event, a year prior, a couple years prior. Um, where I had some damage to my abdomen, and I was told that there was no way that I would be able to conceive, let alone carry a baby. It was just too much damage going that had occurred. Not to mention all of the other um, things in place to prevent me from, just in case. And I still conceived him. And I knew from that moment that there was no accident. And I didn't know what I believed in or what to believe, but I knew with every fiber of my being that there were no mistakes here. And that by having my child, I would change the course of my direction. And I did. I certainly did. And I look at him all of the time. I mean, our children are blessings anyway, but I just look at him with such a profound amazement because he chose to come to me in that situation, knowing the impact that he would have on me and knowing that my life would be forever changed because of him. And I as far back as I can remember, that is definitely the first and foremost biggest moment where I started to question, but it didn't change me and it didn't heal me. I was still dealing with trauma and still having experiences and still raising my son on my own. And, life didn't get easier, but there were different things about it that changed me. And it wasn't until, you know, the next biggest biggest I mean, there was obviously, looking back, many interventions in between, um, but the biggest one is when I had my near death experience. And I just once you have an experience like that and receive the information that you receive and see and feel all of that, there's how do you go back? Like, I don't know how someone could have an experience like that and just write it off as if nothing happened or it didn't matter, it was just a coincidence or it was a dream or whatever people do to avoid the reality of what was. And my life was forever changed, and I know that experience was to um, get me to really take my healing journey seriously and really work on the trauma that I had endured from a child all the way up until that point. And I think it's so profound that it was that significant. It had to be. It had to literally knock the wind out of me for me to be shaken awake. There was just nothing else that was going to do it for me because of my nature, because of who I am. And after having that experience, like, there's no way to explain, um, other than I know that my life was saved. And it gave me an opportunity to heal and continue healing. And also, the biggest thing, yes, loving yourself and healing yourself is big, but your purpose. I learned my purpose and I'm living my purpose and I'm still healing every day. And that none of that would have occurred if I hadn't had these beautiful interventions that I can look back at now and just hold so much gratitude for. To answer your question.
It's a beautiful answer to the question. So I'm sure the listeners out there, they've had their own, or maybe they just haven't quite learned how to see or feel it or trust the
Mhm,
divine. So there's some language that I hear often, and people would think I was crazy if I told them this or that or the other.
mhm,
And I say, well, let's challenge that narrative and let's just share more often, because I find I get the opportunity on a regular basis to do my grief groups, to sit with people that are grieving. And it's incredible how one person will share how they'll hear something their loved one, they'll have a dream, or they'll have a significant sign from someone. And then as people go around and they have their turn, they'll often comment on that and include their own. But then there's still some language that said, well, I can't, but you might think I'm crazy, but this happened. And
Yeah.
I'm always thinking, no, that why is that even a thing to be able to say? You might think I'm crazy. It's like, why are we as a society mainstreamed the divine in a way so much that it seems to be crazy town if you've had some big energetic even mystical sort of experience
Mhm.
to say that this is an anomaly or this isn't fun, this is phenomenal, this isn't
Mhm.
just everyday thing. Because now that I have the awareness that I have, I feel like I'm always connected,
Yeah.
and the communication stream just is always there. And now just like people, I don't feel like the universe talks at me all the time. I just feel like there's communication that's there, and it's not always, and the talking will come, or the communication is, so the communications are always there available, but not always communicating, if that makes sense to people.
Yeah.
So it's about learning the language that, and I really do feel like the universe talks to each one of us differently, because each one of us have different ways of hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, whatever it is, because we're different from each other. We're
Right.
really wired to hear, sense, have that communication be very personalized from the universe. So there's a lot of it that's just somewhere deeper down here in this gut area, that there's it can even be a sensation that says, well, that was something. And then the mind is a monkey, or I say worse sometimes because it's, but the mind is a monkey. And then the mind starts to pull you away and does its analytical work or its questioning, and then you sort of lose that sense, that strong sense that that
Mhm.
was something significant that just happened.
Yeah.
So it's learning how to listen and pay attention and trust, and then connecting the dots to say what it's actually talking to you about.
Yeah.
It takes some skills or some practice in tuning in and being ready and available to listen to that. And then it
Mhm.
can be difficult when the divine comes in a package that is traumatic, or there you have a life event that just leaves you shook so much that there's healing and cleanup work, and then
Mhm.
being able to find why in the world was that thing for me. Why was
Mhm.
that for me? Why was all that most difficult and an awful thing something that I experienced to leverage in my life or to help me fulfill my purpose?
Right, and think about all of the times that you've heard from clients, at least for me, where they've had these traumatic events, but they're so beautiful in the way that they talk about them because of the impact that they had on their lives and how it did change the course of their direction. It did alter their life in some way or brought someone closer to them or however that looks, and it's just so profound that we can have these experiences and chalk them up as that's just the way the parts moved. It's just a coincidence. When there are synchronicities happening all of the time that are, behind the scenes that we cannot see that are being moved for us. I was feeling on this earlier before, just before we started the show, and I jotted a few things down because I feel like divine intervention can look and feel different for everybody, and not everyone believes in a higher power or universe or anything like that. And I mean, that's totally okay. I lived most of my life like that, wanting to believe in something bigger than me, but not having the proof or the evidence to do so. Right. And I think a lot of people, um, I would think they would understand that. And so going back to what I was feeling on about how, it may not resonate with you knowing that something may be God's will versus free will, because of the word God or universe. But really, it's not dependent on, it's like an experience that's not dependent on like conscious intentions, right? So if you just look at it intentionally or from a conscious or unconscious space, there's this movement of something in your life that is beyond your understanding, right? Because a lot of times, like when you pray or when you wish or when you hope, you are creating this vision that you don't even know if is possible for yourself. And a lot of times it comes into place. And more times than not, it's better than what you imagined or envisioned or hoped for or dreamed of. And that's what I want to know is like, how can you make that up? How did it become better then? And then how did it change your life? Like, how did you have this experience? And it literally, like for me, it literally changed my life. Nothing was ever the same again. And I think that there's so many experiences that we have as human beings that we don't understand like the impact that they have on us in that moment. It's the ripple effects after, or like something that happens because of what you went through for somebody else even, because everything is so connected and so in movement with one another, and we don't see the whole picture because we're just focused in like right here and now, right?
Mhm.
And so there's all these moving pieces outside of our little bubble that we just can't even comprehend or understand, nor are we probably even thinking about them. Like if you just look at like we're not even thinking about that kind of stuff. We're just like here now.
Mhm.
And a lot of times when we're here now, we're not even really here. We're not present in that moment. But speaking of presence, like also divine intervention can feel like aligned presence. I feel like because being present means that you're like fully here and aware and surrendering, allowing divine intervention to like move through you without like the mental interference that you were talking about. And I feel like when we're in that space, we're in the present moment, it just creates this clear channel for miracles to happen, for divine guidance to happen. What do you feel about that?
Wow, that was really reminding me that over the years I've surrendered in one way. I've learned to just I speak unconsciously, so I've stopped controlling what comes out of my mouth and trusting it and really trusting myself and trusting my principles, and that my mouth just really doesn't necessarily betray me so much. But when, especially in my work, I just speak freely and naturally. And
Mhm.
so often people say, funny that you would say that. Or and it just, there are definitely some times where there's some stuff that comes out that I have an inner, like the witness inside of me that's just the observer going, wow, that was
That was
something
good.
really big. That was
Yeah.
good. Or I'll actually say that was just for you because that came out specifically for you.
Yeah.
So in some ways, this is the divine moving through, like you were saying. It's just being so present and so just surrendered and in the flow. For me personally, the more that I'm in the flow, and then things just click along. But then there's times where I will find one of the signs that I'm a little out of alignment. Maybe it's divine intervention, or maybe it's just the divine, like, I'm misaligned with my flow, which I feel like it's all God, really, or all divine. It's
Mm.
all the universe. It doesn't really matter. There's really no sides in this, as far as it's all the universe.
Mhm.
All of it is. And so, like, I'll bump into doorways or something, and it's my little sign, or I'll hit my head on my car door. Like,
Like, oh,
I'm
get
like,
back
wow,
in your body.
wow, yeah, I am. That is exactly what I've learned, instead of what it used to be, where it's like, oh, I'm so clumsy, or it became a sign from the greater universe that I wasn't fully aligned. And I think those are things that I've learned that are ways of intervention, of getting my attention, of tuning myself in. So these are little things, because I've found that, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know, I haven't had as many things lately, not had to have big things.
I feel like it's always happening. So maybe you're just not seeing.
Anyway, just those are also the little things, the little, like, nudge nudge, get back in your body, where you just had a
Mhm.
little off day. Maybe you need to ground a little, maybe you need
Right.
to me personally, take a break, slow down, like, relax, stop for like 30 minutes, just stop.
Mhm.
That's what, me personally, that's my messages sometimes,
Yeah.
is that kind of intervention.
Same.
Yeah.
I resonate with all of that very much. You brought up flow, and I like to look at it like effortless flow, when you're just in this flow that is without being conscious, without thinking, just being at peace, being open, being receptive, without trying to control the outcome. I just ugh, there's so many amazing things that happen in that space, right?
Yeah.
I just think it's so cool.
Yeah.
But also, like, we've talked about intentions before. How do you feel like intentional work plays a role in divine intervention? Like, when you think about direct intentions that, you state an intention, but you're not forcing it, or intentions that arrive, like, they just come right from your soul, and they just have so much power, right, when they manifest in the ways that they do.
Mm.
Um, or even I talked about, like, surrendering, like the surrendered intention, where you can set these intentions without an attachment, just be really opening to the divine to fulfill that experience for you in the highest way.
Hmm. That is, in my personal experience, where I've seen it, that if I've set an intention, and in or a desire or a want, or saying, like, this is what I feel I would like to have come into my life, and
Mhm,
for the highest good of all, that highest good is bigger than I can imagine, and
mhm,
allowing it to be. Because I do find sometimes that when something comes along, it's easy to say, that's not what I asked for, instead of taking it in stride and realizing that's more than what I asked for.
mhm,
It just didn't come packaged like I thought it would. My
mhm,
mind thought it would come packaged a particular way. And so I have worked with that concept a bit in my life, of saying, okay, especially with my human design, being emotional, waiting for clarity, sensing and intuitively if something is coming through that feels intuitively like there's something to it, and then waiting to see if that's my package that arrived. It's
mhm,
not as clear as, like, packages from that we get delivered to our front porch in a box with our address and our name on it, and it's the thing that we ordered, that looks like the thing that we ordered. These when the divine intercedes and delivers, what's coming to us.
Yeah.
It can sometimes look, and we've talked about this before when we did intentional or something like that, where sometimes the things need to get out of the way. And
Mhm.
so sometimes challenging life experiences, which is part of what we're talking about tonight with divine intervention, challenging life experiences that help us grow to get us to go and develop in ways that we need to get the life that we're really truly desiring and that we're asking for.
Mhm.
And we have to build some strength and skill set. So also having the awareness that difficult life situations, or that it might challenge us to let go of things that don't serve us, that we've been holding on to,
Mhm.
doing some of that work that we talk about so often. It depends on what's happening in your own personal world.
I was looking for a quote. That's why I was on my phone. Totally still here or being present. And I can't find it, but I know I saved it somewhere, But it was along the lines of, when you ask for something and you're upset because all you see are the flowers, but you forgot to look for the rain because it didn't look a certain way, right? So they're like asking for something and it to be a certain way and look a certain way and feel a certain way. And when it's not that, but it's something else, but it's so much bigger than what you were even imagining, and you're forgetting, like, you have this whole field of flowers and you were just there's a thing going. And you were just asking for rain, like, we forget, or um we don't see the whole story.
Yeah,
And then
I
we're
th-
disappointed because it wasn't what we thought it should be.
so another thing to add to that concept is to say that you may be just in the beginning of an experience that can't be assessed until the experience is much further along. And there's definitely certain people that by their design, within the framework of human design, there are people that really, it's very important for them to go all the way through the experience, because they'll end up where things didn't go as they expect, and they're just saying this is just all wrong and it's part of the way that they're designed to operate, but they need to wait and go through the complete experience, because once the experience is done, then you'll get it. And that often happens where the awareness doesn't come in the now all the time, that you
No.
may not even be able to figure out what it's all. This is not the idea. It's usually, if you're looking back a few years, like you were mentioning, and what I've experienced is in retrospect, then you're able to see how that was for me.
Mhm.
Um, and most often not right in smack dab in the middle of a difficult life experience, unless there's something that they would call faith. Like if everything's always
Yes.
happening for me, then this too is for me, and I will figure it out sometime.
Mhm.
Sometime that will come clear.
Right.
And you can send up a little prayer that said, help me to understand with ease and grace how this is
Add the
for me.
ease and grace. Trust me on this.
It's like adding the right spice. Put the right thing into your prayer for the highest good and with ease and grace. Those are good things to put in your request or
Be
prayer.
careful what you wish for.
It's true.
Specifics are important because you'll get what you ask for always.
Mm-hmm,
It
mm-hmm.
just may not look like the way you thought it would.
I know. So this is something that I just want to have people understand that you always get what you ask for. Okay. So that if you're asking negative things, the divine doesn't really, the divine will give you, oh, you want some more of that? Do you want more of that? It will just give you more of whatever it is they're asking for. Mind the language, mind the thoughts, because oftentimes people are asking for a negative.
Mhm.
by the thought patterns and what they're thinking. And um, I always feel a little cautious when people say, I can't take one more thing. And it's like, no, don't say that.
Don't say that.
Don't
Never
say.
say that, especially out loud. Just don't. I've learned that the hard way. Like,
Yes.
I can't take it anymore. To cancel delete. I'm not using that now, but yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. There's a question in the chat room. What happens when we debate the divine? Who has done that?
Oh, yes.
Everybody. Everyone
Yes.
has debated or compromised or, something.
Um, this is my response to that, which is um, I'm going to just bring it into a mundane that says, if I'm going to debate someone, I'm going hopefully I'll have the awareness that they may know more than I do. And so I find if I'm going to debate with the divine, generally the divine knows more than I do.
Generally,
Mm-hmm. Always. Humility is a good thing. It's okay to debate with the divine. But I would tell you that once you're done talking to the divine, shut up and listen. Just like sometimes people are talk, and they don't take their finger off the talk button and listen. So I would tell you, like, check yourself to see whether or not you're in the receiver. Are you being the receiver part or are you just the talker part?
Right. When they say pause, it's no joke.
No joke.
Yeah. That was a lesson I got to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, great answer, Natalie.
That's good. I'm glad. You're welcome.
And Karen says, almost like asking for help and it doesn't come ever.
It's just an interesting thing when we ask for help and assistance and we say it doesn't come. There's a country song that said, thank God for unanswered prayers. Isn't that something like that's a quote for that song that said, basically I sent up a prayer and then God didn't answer that prayer. Thank goodness, because that was a prayer for something that I thought I wanted, but I didn't realize that I was going to have much different than what it was that I wanted. Now, there's times where I'll say, wow, I would not have put myself through that so that I could grow as much as I did.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put myself through it. I would have stunted my growth throughout my life. I know it. If I were in charge of how big I could be.
I love that you brought that up. It's so seriously good. Like, if you think about all of the things that have taken place, you wouldn't be the same person you are today without them. It's just facts. It's just the way it is. That's what life is all about, is having these experiences. And we don't know, like, this is a game. This is a game of life. And you have to understand, like, there are so many pieces and parts at play. There are so many things going on behind the curtain that we just cannot even comprehend.
Yeah.
And who are we to say it needs to look and be a certain way when we can't see behind that curtain?
Right.
We don't know the possibilities. And we just get in our own way as human beings. We're just good at it. That's just what we do. It's part of the human experience. And thank goodness for that, because think of all of the things you learn by doing whatever you're doing, good, bad, or indifferent, like all of it. It's everything has an experience and everything has free will. But there's also these beautiful little pieces that are flying around us that can just, like, I look at like the fireflies, Natalie. You look at fireflies, they can land anywhere that they want and change everything, right? They just fluttering around and then they land. And yeah, it's just so magical if you think about it. Just like the whole concept of divine intervention, like so much magic is happening. We we just can't even comprehend it with our human minds.
Right.
And I think that's like one of the biggest questions of all time as a human being, like what is outside of us?
Mm.
And is there a God? And is there these moving parts that are, you know, designing my best life or keeping me on track to live my purpose in this lifetime? And are there my loved ones behind the scenes making sure certain pieces get into place just in time? And then you just think about all of the other experiences where, you almost get in a car accident, but you didn't.
Yeah.
Or you almost died on the surgical table, but you didn't.
Right.
Because there's always something going on behind the scenes that is just how do we even comprehend that other than just trust or have faith that it is real? And that's a whole other experience, right?
It is so true. Yeah, there is a contrary to the it's interesting when I listening to people and they was like I had that happen a few months ago where I just didn't go quickly at the green light. So the light changed green and I didn't go quick and a car came through pretty late red light.
Yeah.
And it was an almost. But people will have things like that and they'll be really, really upset that something almost happened as if the almost actually happened and just get like stuck there. I mean, it tells the story, but there's also
Yeah.
some people that there's like, you almost hit me. They'll get angry. You almost, and it's like, but didn't.
There was
We
this
don't
one
forget.
time where I almost died, but I didn't.
But did you die?
I mean, I did die, but I came back.
That's right.
Whatever.
Well, Spirit was without that story, it's appreciating the story behind it all.
Yeah, I mean, without that story, would I be here doing this now? Probably not. I would not be this version of myself at all. I know that. Absolutely not. And we always have Genghis singing in the background for us. Thanks, friend. That's funny because I was singing a little of that in my head when I was saying faith. Got to have faith, the faith, the faith.
That's right.
Yep. Now, do you have a point that sticks out to you? Like how I had my son or the NDE. Do you have like this big moment of your life where you just knew that there was something bigger than you that was, intervening or guiding you in some way?
Lots of I don't have something as powerful as an NDE, but there were experiences I had um, of actually like dimensional things, of just knowing that there just was many more dimensions than this earthbound one.
Yeah.
A labyrinth, a fabric of all kinds of things that's more than I could comprehend.
Yeah.
That showed me that there was the material plane that we could see and touch and feel, and then there was more than that. Um, and so I've had that experience. So when I was young, like the ability to surrender and see what, not just get so stuck. And it's interesting to articulate this right now, why that came up with that question, was to be able to understand that there's more to anyone per se than just the surface.
Mhm.
Um, that was several things that I went through that showed me that. Definitely being close to death several times, like right there when someone died, like having that experience around people as well as animals dying,
Mhm.
um, taught me, one, to be comfortable with that in a way that has assisted me in my work, as well as the profound, profound grief journey. And then that reminds me of another experience that I had. So I was so grief stricken. I remember this time I was curled up in a fetal position, sobbing, sobbing on my bathroom floor, and just feeling like I just couldn't. I just, I just couldn't anymore. Just couldn't. Whatever that was, I was just like, I just can't do this anymore. Not that I was looking to check out. I just was at my end that
Yeah.
particular moment.
He's so
And
heavy.
I sent up a prayer, and I literally felt wrapped by angel wings
Mm.
and instant peace. It was so profound how it just can work when you ask for the assistance. I just said, angels, help me.
And also, you don't even have to ask. I feel like we're just so supported in so many
Hmm.
ways without having to ask or even be aware. Um, your story reminds me of a few that I have had myself, and I feel like every one of us has had a moment in our lives where we have been that person. And we literally are sitting here now having this conversation and can look back understanding like we got through it, our heaviest time, and we got through it. Do you think that's by coincidence? Do you think that's an accident? I don't. I feel like everything is intentional and everything has a purpose and everything has a reason. And although we cannot see it or we cannot comprehend it, we don't understand it, doesn't make it not so.
Right.
Um, yeah, and I don't know if this person's listening, but we had a visitor today, and I just like I know this person is really in the trenches right now and really feeling all this heaviness. And there's so many things you want to say to people in that moment, right? But when you're in that moment, like you don't necessarily want to hear it. And if you do, you definitely don't believe it. And most times, you probably don't even have the energy to hope for it. Right. But I just want to say to all these people who are struggling and really feeling it, like there are so many beautiful things taking place behind the scenes that you have yet to learn. And if you just hold on a little bit longer, you'll get through this because you're not meant to stay in the places that hurt like this. You're
Hmm.
not meant to have experiences every single opportunity that are challenging or painful. And that's why things happen. Like you forgot your phone, so you turned around and later find out that there was a collision just down the street. Like things like that happen.
Hmm.
And you think it's just like, it just happened and I'm lucky. I'm glad it happened, but you don't understand the significance of you forgetting something. Like there's always something at least that's my belief. That's what I see and understand. And I know not everyone's going to believe that. It does feel light and airy fairy and hopeful and dreamy and all of those good things because it is. It is. It is all of those things.
Well, and that's actually a chosen perspective. Like, I've known you long enough that I know that you'll choose to apply um, a perspective that includes the divine, not excludes the divine. Those are
Always.
choices. You can choose to exclude forces that are bigger than you, or you can choose to include it. How would this be a situation that was good for me? Or what can I gain from this situation? How can I grow? Is there anything that I need to work on that's from this difficult situation? Meeting resistance. These are questions that we've had in conversations about difficult situations that we'll find ourselves in. And those perspectives help. Not that doesn't include blaming or shaming or any of those things. It just it will include an awareness that just says, okay, am I open to what I need to be hearing? That I need to make any adjustments? Do I just need to keep going? There's a couple of memes or sayings that are out there that have been made into memes, but I've heard one of them is that when everything's falling apart, they're generally when it feels like everything's falling to pieces, it's generally falling. No, I just blew that one.
Yeah.
How is it? Well,
it's somewhere along the lines when everything feels like it's in pieces, it's actually coming together.
Yeah.
Like all the pieces are coming together you just see like these pieces and they don't make any sense together and they're not matching and mixing. But once you like step back, look at the whole picture, have an understanding like, oh, this piece has many options. Like you look at puzzle pieces. How many times do you put a puzzle piece together and move it in all directions to see if it fits next to that piece? I feel like it's the same thing.
And then the other saying that says, look, when you feel like you're walking through hell, just keep walking.
Another song, Genghis.
Keep walking, keep walking. Because those dark nights of the soul or difficult times that we all go through really do pass. Everything is a temporary situation.
Right. And they build us.
They do build us. Sometimes it's helpful, and I did this with myself for quite a few years until I moved through the times where I was just personally so grief stricken. I just was so deep in my grief that I would remind myself that I had already lived through my worst day.
Yeah.
So any of these other days were not that day. I made it through that. And that means I can make it through this.
That's beautiful.
I have to just cheerlead myself sometimes. Keep on going.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to challenge everybody through this next week to like stop and take a pause and look at all of the beautiful alignments in your life, in your journey as an observer to others that are close to you, and see how the divine takes center stage in narrating and navigating and playing around with all of this magic in your life, and just be witness to it. It really is quite something when you step back and see just how beautiful everything is, even when it's challenging, even when it hurts. That there's always this magnificent silver lining to be observed and appreciated. Yeah. Do you have
Good
anything
challenge.
else before we close?
Well, I think that we covered that pretty well.
Great. Yeah, Ronald, he said, I never imagined moving to Arizona, but here I am. He just moved very far away from where was home. Really proud of you. You took a leap of faith. It's really cool. Can't wait to see what your life ends up being like now. So good. And for those of you who are wanting to choose a show topic or recommend one or however, just email us at connect@soulwanderings.com. You can also private message us on any of our platforms and you can connect to those at soulwanderings.com. And if you're in the local northern Utah area, we're having a big event this weekend. Well, I wouldn't say big, it's a mini event, but it's going to pack a big punch. And that will be taking place here at Vibes from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. We'd love to see you come by and say hello. And until next week, we'll see you guys all next time. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for being a wanderer with us. And thank you for your time and energy. We'll see you guys all next week. Good night.
Have a good one.